Welcome to Free Thinking Through the Fourth Turning. My name is Sasha Stone. Oh, the inhumanity. I aligned myself in hatred against the other half of the country until I couldn't take it anymore. When I found my way to Trump's rallies in the summer of 2020, I felt like I had crawled out of a desert searching for signs of life. No one could know my discovery. I had to keep it a secret. If anyone found me out, I would be MAGA. I would be a Trump supporter. And that would be the end of my career and most of my relationships. Despite how often I'd become the target of the fanatical mobs that rule over social media and the left writ large, I knew not to cross the Trump line. That would be the last straw. I would be shunned, I knew. Yet every time I got the notification from Right Side Broadcasting's YouTube channel that Trump was about to take the stage, even now, 4 years after I first began watching them, my mood was instantly lifted. I love those people, I would always think. I didn't belong anywhere, but I somehow belonged there. They still had their senses of humor well intact. They loved this country and were proud of their heritage and patriotism. They were every skin color, every gender, even gay and trans, all under the same tent, an island of misfit toys, all MAGA. Once I figured out what great people they were, how their time with Trump was precious, I began to worry. What was going to happen to them, I wondered. My side had all of the power. They were the empire, and they wanted nothing but the total obliteration of MAGA, and especially Trump. I thought, if only they could thaw out their systematic dehumanization campaign, if I could somehow break the spell cast upon them by the media and the social media feedback loops, then they could just shrug and move on with their lives. But that isn't what happened. We summoned a hungry beast that needed to be fed. It was anger at having a political enemy, but there was more to it than that. It was a sadistic, indulgent bacchanalia of hatred that united the left and became its main form of entertainment. Who are Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert if they aren't sucking on the bones of Trump night after night? Whatever audience now remains to watch their terrible shows or the MSNBC power lineup is there for one reason and one reason only. The beast is hungry, and the beast must be fed. I too once felt hate within me. It connected me to my community online. It seemed like nothing else mattered all of a sudden except this rising hysteria none of us could manage. We began purging anyone accused of sexual assault or racism. There was no due process. It was simply a matter of tossing them out of utopia. We'd be fine after that, at least for a little while. But the beast always got hungry again. Sooner or later, it would return to Trump. We were winners when it was just us, Obama and our online paradise. Now we were holding back the inevitable pendulum swing, desperate to cling to the past, unable to relinquish our war on Trump. If only we could stop him for good and destroy him forever, things would return to normal. But they never did. For me, the hatred began to feel like toxic sludge in my veins. I couldn't take it, not for one more minute. I knew enough about history to know what we were doing was wrong. Yet how do you convince the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, Hollywood, and the entire Democratic establishment that what they're engaging in was not just bad for our country, but dangerous? It didn't occur to me until much later, long after I'd escaped the bubble of the left, that they needed to hate Trump, because it was the only way they could feel something, anything. Their addiction meant they needed a stronger and stronger hit. It wasn't enough to call him a rapist or a racist. It had to get all the way to dictator, all the way to a threat to end American democracy as we once knew it. Arthur C. Clarke wrote in 2001 that newspapers of utopia would be terribly dull. And that's what's happened to culture on the left. It's boring without Trump. They kept dragging him back to their cable news shows daily, dragging him back to the headlines in the New York Times. On X, Trump humiliation was the only fun they seemed allowed to have. Trump then was their release valve. They were dancing with the devil and they liked it. They liked it. It became an abusive relationship for them, with Trump's defiance keeping them engaged in the fight. The more he fought back, the more satisfying it was to see him crushed. Here is Megyn Kelly.
I don't know about you, but I feel infuriated right now. I am angry over what has been done to this man. I see him so differently. Yes, he's got character flaws, of course, but this is the embodiment of strength in the face of an unbelievable onslaught, emotional, financial, free when it comes to his freedom, and now his life, literally with a bullet having shot him in the head. His fist is in the air and he's telling the crowd and all of us, fight for your country, fight for what we're all in this for. Don't let them shoot you down. Don't let them shoot down your ideals. Don't let them ruin the country. I've never seen anything like this.
Today, they look like bitter little fools. They look like people who have nothing to offer the country, no way to save it, and no path toward the light out of darkness. They're just millions of versions of Mrs. Gulch, chasing around Dorothy and her little dog, too. They haven't been the good guys for a long time. They destroyed themselves trying to destroy Trump. They just don't know it yet, not even after what happened on Saturday. Look back in anger. We were a movement defined by hedonism on a quest to leave religion behind and birth the counterculture. We chased sex, drugs, and rock and roll all through the 1960s and 1970s, only to come out of it wanting the American dream like everyone else. As we cut our hair, put on suits, bought homes, and became executives, we once again tried for the power of the presidency after the whole thing collapsed in 1980. Ronald Reagan rose because the left and everything they stood for was nothing Americans wanted anymore, just like now. I came of age in the 1980s thinking there was no point in voting. Politics wasn't for me. Why bother? I was sucked back in around the time the Clintons became the first Democrats to hold the White House for 2 full terms since FDR. Then we had Aaron Sorkin in the West Wing. We had a new way of speaking. We had self-help and big pharma. We had therapists, psych meds, and yoga. We had Oprah. Things were turning around just in time for the rise of the internet. As we migrated online, we formed a movement based on Twitter, of all places, with our new leader, the nation's first black president, Barack Obama. What wouldn't we do for him? Suddenly we had a collective sense of purpose. We had a shared ideology and a charismatic leader to take us into the promised land. How great it was back then. Nothing could stop us. Thousands of us connected at once, pushing the same set of beliefs, language, and rules of behavior. We tinkered with our utopian diorama for years, all through the Obama era. We didn't think much about the other half of the country, those Republicans we left behind. Right about the time of Obama's second term in 2012, we started to notice what we believed to be the low-frequency hum of evil, racism. Those people we'd left behind were mobilizing into a powerful group known as the Tea Party, and they were coming for the first black president. To most of us, he was perfect. If they didn't like his policies, they must be racists.
That is nothing but a bunch of tea-bagging rednecks.
Angry government and racism.
The conservative movement has now crystallized into the white power movement.
Who are into killing blacks and Jews and women or whatever it may be.
I haven't met any racists yet, to be honest with you, not in the Tea Party.
Have you yourself, has anyone accused you of racism for your involvement in the Tea Party?
Today, yes. I've been called a couple of bad words today.
They're a cult. Nazis. Fascist.
Un-American. Racist.
Any opposition you have, any opposition to Obama, to the Democratic Party, anything right now, the way to end any argument, racist.
This is racism straight up.
They say racist, and the argument's over. How can that be?
I mean, there is freedom of speech, but you know, that comes with a responsibility. I think this is dangerous rhetoric.
They're fascist stooges who, in the true sense of that word, that's not hyperbole.
And, you know, we see these hate groups rising up, and this is definitely part of that.
No, I see a lot of anger toward the government, but I don't see any hate.
The media has told everyone, these blind, misguided people, that the Tea Party is racist, so that you know, African Americans and other groups and Democrats won't participate in something which would definitely help out their children.
You can't deal with these people at all.
That's what they want to do. They want to categorize us to where we're all fighting each other.
I think they're threatened and they're afraid we're going to win. So they're trying, like, how can we bring it down? Oh, the worst thing you could be in this country is a racist, so let's say that.
This is about hating a black man.
To be honest with you, the first time I heard Obama speak, I thought, there's a guy that knows what he's talking about. He speaks very, very well. But he has converted it to socialism. Take from the people who are working and give to those who aren't.
You are un-American, you are anti-American, you do not love this country, and you are rooting against America.
They see millions.
Racists unless they comply. Racists unless they speak our language. Racists if they worry about the border or terrorism or indoctrination in schools. Racists if they talk about crime in the cities or hate crimes by anyone other than white people. The hate that now connected us, that ran through our veins, became institutionalized. Trump's rise to the governing systems in our country was thought to be racist, threatening the better half of America. What then must they do? With Trump's win in 2016, there was no way to escape the mass hysteria that now this country was ruled by a racist, a rapist, a fascist, a bigot, and a homophobe. He was the devil riding into Salem.
I wanted to come on here and express a few more thoughts about the Donald Trump assassination attempt because I know millions of Americans are hurting and scared. Since the night of the debate on June 27th, I've really felt like our country is going through a shift and a period of mass awakening. The mainstream media lied for years and covered Joe Biden's cognitive issues, even though we all saw it with our eyes and ears. Since that debate, many in the mainstream media, as well as many elected officials, have been unmasked, and they've really lost all credibility. When I say 90% of the mainstream media, as well as governors, congressmen, senators, are responsible for what just happened to Donald Trump, here's what I mean. The rhetoric in our country has become so polarized, billions of dollars have been spent painting Donald Trump as this boogeyman and this less than human figure. For years, the mainstream media has painted Donald Trump as a threat to democracy, but we just found out we have an ego-driven zombie sitting in the White House in the Oval Office. That is a threat to democracy. Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, many in the Democratic elite and the Democrat media, you can look at the MSNBCs of the world, they've not only painted Donald Trump as this type of figure, but also anyone who supports him. I'm sure many of you remember back in October when Hillary Clinton said that Trump supporters were in a cult and needed a formal deprogramming. You guys know I welcome folks on the left, the right, the middle, all across the political spectrum, but this type of political rhetoric painting Donald Trump and his supporters as less than human as the other, that's what leads to this type of political violence. With the way many of the television pundits as well as elected officials have pushed the rhetoric, we knew this type of attack on Donald Trump was inevitable. If there's one thing I can say to all of us right now, we have to learn to come together as Americans with shared values and turn the dial down a little bit. I worry for my generation, younger generations, when we can dehumanize each other so easily and normalize violence to the point where it's commonplace, where are we going to be decades from now if this is where we are in 2024? I'm sending love to all of you right now. As you know, my page is a
The minute Trump stepped into the White House, removing him from power by any means necessary was normalized. Violent fantasies were rewarded. Robert De Niro wanted to punch him in the mouth. It took the Supreme Court to stop them from removing him from ballots in various states and to blunt the full force of Jack Smith and the weaponized DOJ. They raided Mar-a-Lago in the dead of night, and people like Rosie O'Donnell and Joy Behar screamed in ecstasy. That should have been the moment the public stood up and said enough. But it was just grooming the public to see what our government could get away with. Then came the indictments, and it only made their mouths water for more. It was like a long strip tease with the money shot being Trump in jail. They dreamed it. They yearned for it.
I've been doing laundry all day, generally cleaning the house, vacuuming. It was about 4:45 p.m. when I turned on the news, and I saw what happened in Pennsylvania. Nothing kills democracy quicker than a bullet. This was their Hail Mary play, the sons of bitches. They blew it. These are evil people. It is their intention to destroy the dream of this republic.
As the cases against Trump fell apart, they had no choice but to scream, "He's a threat to democracy. Democracy will end if he wins. He's unfit to serve."
I think now more than ever I need to come out and say this again one more time. I'm a Trump voter. I am not a MAGA cultist, as you've been taught. I'm not a joiner, I'm not a groupie. I vote for Trump for a few very specific reasons. I want the damn cost of living to go back down again. I want the cost of gas to go back down again. I want to be able to buy groceries without spending $600 a trip. I want my taxes to go back down again, because you know what? For the 4 years he was in office, I was actually able to save a little bit of money. And I know you've been told I'm the enemy. I know you've been sitting here listening to these radicalized, divisive lunatics in the media telling you I am the enemy. But let me tell you clearly, I openly support LGBTQ rights. I'll say it right here, right now. I support LGBTQ rights because I have friends and family that fall into that demographic, people that I love. And I want them to be happy just as the same as I want to be happy. But you've been taught to hate, and you need to consider that hate you perceive everywhere else, it's in your own little twisted, sick, darkened heart. Made clear by your willingness to go out into an open public and fire rounds into a civilian gathering. It's your side. It's your side, not mine. Because the God's honest truth is, I don't have a side. I don't support the Republicans and I don't support the Democrats. I think they're working together and I think they're all fucking corrupt. Trump actually isn't a part of that either, and you can't see it because you've been listening to the problem. I see it all over my Facebook. People getting on there talking about love and acceptance from one another, but the second you mention Trump or talk about a Trump supporter, oh no, those people need to die. You're fascists. Radicalized fascists.
We can't blame the left for the sad sack that killed Cory Comparatore and wounded Trump, but it was the shot heard around the world. It was something the left could not ignore, like Jackie Kennedy's decision to leave blood on her suit. Let them see what they've done, she said. Podcast listeners, a picture of Jackie Kennedy with LBJ signing in as president after JFK's assassination.
And we are a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is all you get. And we are a nation that loves to be rained upon. Let's stay out here and vote. Let's stay out here, right? I'm not leaving.
I've seen Trump speak in the pouring rain in Florida, taking off his red cap and allowing the rain to destroy his hair. I've heard him joke about the front row Joes who follow him from town to town. I've heard him recite the snake. I've seen him praise his family, his supporters, and fellow politicians. And yes, I've seen him insult and say cruel things. I've seen him hit back at the people who love him the most. In other words, I've seen him be flawed, like all of us. And maybe that's what drove the left insane the most. They made Obama into a god, but in Trump, they see themselves.
This is the greatest. This might be the greatest rally we've ever had. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have. Is everybody having a good time? Is this...
MAGA strong. The hardest thing to explain to people on the left or in the media is the relationship between Trump and his supporters. It's not the cult they insist it is. If there is a cult in this country, they're it. No, this is unlike anything I've ever seen in American history. It isn't the dominant culture. It isn't the popular crowd. These are the outsiders who protect each other through thick and thin. He has their backs, and they have his. That's why it was so moving to see the moment Trump raised his fist to his supporters, and for them to burst into wild cheers and chant, USA, USA, USA.
Shooters down. Are we good to move? We're clear. We're clear. We're clear. Come on.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus. Move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay. Watch out.
Wait.
And if you know MAGA, you know that's what they do, no matter where Trump is. That's the chant that says, we know what you're fighting for. We're fighting too. We're fighting for the country we love.
You didn't attack Trump. You attacked us all. Attack on him is attack on all of us. We're prayer warriors, and now we're going to attack with prayer. Watch what God does. We stand together and unite. Why? Because we're fighting for America. You shooters, you want to stop America, but it's not going to happen. We're patriots, conservatives, and we're Christians. We're believers in the Most High God, and that's how it is. And we win. That's right, we win. God bless you, America. Stand strong. We're winning.
I haven't done many things right in my life. It's been, in many ways, one long agonizing flail. But I have done a few things right, like building a business and having a child. And one of those things was finding my way out of the dystopian fear bunker the left has become. As I watched the reactions from so many on the left who were upset that the shooter missed and felt no shame about that, I was suddenly grateful I wasn't one of them. I jumped off the train. Now I get to be one of the good guys who was on the right side of history when hysteria and rage swallowed up the left. Not all people on the left are unable to see where we are now, but all it takes is a few of them to start opening their eyes and speaking the truth. Actor Tim Robbins just today was one of them. Podcast listeners, a quote from Tim Robbins. To anyone drawing a parallel between my film Bob Roberts and the attempted assassination of Trump, let's be clear. What happened yesterday was a real attempt on a presidential candidate's life. Those that are denying the assassination attempt was real are truly in a deranged mindset. A human being was shot yesterday, another killed. They may not be human beings that you agree with politically, but for shame, folks. Get over your blind hatred of these people. They are fellow Americans. This collective hatred is killing our souls and consuming whatever is left of our humanity, end quote. He gives me hope that all is not lost. Now, though, I feel patriotism and affection for the former president, the fighter, the great champion of the fourth turning. How can we do anything but stand back in awe and admiration for anyone who could take it and take it and take it some more, raise his fist in defiance, and offer hope to his loyal MAGA supporters? I find I am suddenly MAGA because I too want to make America great again and chant, USA, USA, USA. Thank you for listening to my podcast, sashastone.substack.com. And thank you for being such a great community, and thank you for your kind words and your feedback and your comments and your support and your praise and your letters and your generosity and your offers to help me learn how to pray and to find some faith in the higher power. I appreciate it. I really do. Stay safe out there. And remember, to thine own self be true.
My home don't feel the same. Last year flew by. Goodbye to the good vibes. What we thought were the best times. Nights out with the people I love. Now I'm lost in the neighborhood. They raised me, praised me, made me who I am. My father was twice the man. And now that pain's resurfacing. Brooklyn don't feel the same. Maybe I'm the one who changed or the one to blame. Another dream down the drain and 10 more before I get on that plane. I swear I knew just what to say. The salt air on the tip of my tongue. But I don't feel good enough for anyone. But I won't unfold. I know, cause I got this feeling. I ain't never giving up. I ain't never ever giving up my pride. I ain't never letting go. I ain't never ever gonna sell my soul. I got this feeling. I got this feeling. I ain't never giving up. I ain't never ever giving up my pride. Pushed out of the family tree, upside down, but it was a good life. Fell hard for the wine in France. I didn't call you back cause I was learning to dance. This is who I've become. The salt air on the tip of my tongue. Wish I was good enough for anyone. No, I won't unfold. I know, cause I got this feeling. I ain't never giving up. I ain't never ever giving up my pride. I ain't never letting go. I ain't never ever gonna sell my soul. I got this feeling. I got this feeling. I ain't never giving up. I ain't never ever giving up my pride. Take or leave who I am, cause this is me. Like a fish out of water, do I belong here? But I'm never gonna lose and never giving up my pride. I'm lost in the ocean, like a knot in a bottle. But I'm never gonna lose and never giving up my pride. This is me, who I am. I ain't never giving up. I ain't never ever giving up my pride. I ain't never letting go. I ain't never ever gonna sell my soul.